Bill. I'm here with David, and we're on a mountain trail near David's place in the Canadian Rockies.
And we're going to do something a little different today. If you ever have guys over for a football game or some kind of afternoon cookout or something, we're going to do two dishes you can make a bunch up and just put out for the guys to eat. We're going to be making Cajun spare ribs, and what do you call your chicken drumsticks, Bill?
I haven't given them a name.
Well, it's time now.
How about the passing wind drumsticks?
Okay, so we're making Cajun ribs and passing wind drumsticks. I will warn you, these recipes aren't for people who don't like spicy food. They're just loaded with flavor, got a lot of bite, and they're great for a bunch of guys at a football game.
Luckily, we love spicy.
It'll be good. Okay, now I'm going to start making the Cajun barbecue sauce for the Cajun barbecued ribs. This sauce can be used on any kind of chicken, beef, pork. It's really good on chicken and pork. The ingredients are going to be 3/8 of a cup of cider vinegar, 3/4 of a cup of ketchup, 4.5 tablespoons of Cajun spice blend, 1.5 or 1 large onion, which we will chop up, a bunch of parsley that we'll chop up, 4.5 tablespoons of honey, and 1.5 teaspoons of black pepper. And we'll get into making it now. Rather than use one smaller onion, I've chose to use a half of a red onion and a half of a white onion, just for a bit of color, but you don't have to do that. You can use any kind of onion you got around. And you want it cut not super fine, but to a relatively fine chop. When I chopped the onion up, I decided, and you got to do this when you're cooking and have a look at it, I decided that's lots of onion for it, so I'm only going to do half of a large onion, because that's all we'll need for this sauce. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to rough chop up that bunch of parsley. Now, if you don't have any fresh parsley, feel free to throw in a couple tablespoons of dried, or if all you got some dried basil or mixed Italian seasonings or something like that, just throw about a tablespoon of that in. But 2 or 3 tablespoons of fresh parsley just gives it a little bit of a fresh flavor. We've put our onion and parsley in the bowl, and we can now add the rest of the ingredients. So we'll start off with 3/8 of a cup of cider vinegar, and 3/4 of a cup of ketchup, and 4.5 tablespoons Cajun spice mix. Now I chose a brand called Clubhouse, but there's tons of different ones to choose from, so get whichever kind you like. There we go, 4.5 tablespoons of Cajun spice. And we will put in 4.5 tablespoons of honey. That's a couple of tablespoons, exactly. And a bit bigger one to make 2.5 tablespoons. And then we'll need exactly 1.5 teaspoons of black pepper. I like fresh ground, but for this particular recipe, if you want to use the bottle stuff, it's okay. Exactly 1.5 teaspoons. And then you just mix it all up. Don't make the mistake I did, put it in a bigger bowl. Now that we finished mixing the ingredients up, I've just put them in the bowl, cover them with some saran wrap, and I'll let them sit in the fridge for a couple of hours for the flavors to marry. And then you can use this as a barbecue sauce in any recipe you like, remembering that it's spicy.
Sometimes necessity is the mother of invention, so here's a recipe based on some ingredients that I just happen to have around. So we've got a plate of drumsticks here, and we're going to make a sauce based on red hot sauce. This is Frank's red hot sauce, but any brand of hot sauce for hot wings will do. So about a half cup of hot sauce, and then about a half cup of light soy sauce mixed together. and a couple of teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. All mixed together in a bowl. And what we're going to do later is we're going to grill these wings and brush on the sauce.
One of the problems with making spare ribs is if you don't cook them well enough, there's a significant risk of illness because of pathogens that can be within the ribs. Or if you cook them enough, of overcooking the outside of them. So we're going to go the safe way, which is to take the ribs and cook them a little bit in advance first. So I'm going to cut them into sections of 4 ribs and throw them in a microwave safe container. Now, the problem is, if you're going to multiply or cut this recipe in half, when you microwave things, the time changes a lot based on the weight that you're putting in it. But with 3 pounds of ribs, you're going to put them in a microwave-proof container, and you're going to put them in the microwave for 20 minutes at 50%. After 10 minutes in the microwave, you got to remember, microwaves don't cook evenly, so you want to take your ribs out and you want to toss them around and mix them up a little bit so that the different parts get exposed to the microwave, and then you'll throw it in for the rest of the 20 minutes that it's going to be in at 50% in your microwave. Okay, we've microwaved the ribs for 20 minutes, and the idea is to get them cooked before you put them on the grill, so you want to test them out. The reason we cut them in pieces of 4 is we want to be able to cut them again and see if they're cooked. You cut in and you see there's still just a little bit of pink in there. That's about exactly the way you want them before you put them on the grill. If it's any redder than that, throw them back in and cut another set to 2 ribs.